it's important to me who I feed. Like, I want to be able to feed a lot of different people, but thinking about that, feeding leaders. How good is that? You know what I mean? And then being able to say, like, I was able to walk into having a business and having the equipment that I needed, like, off top, which a lot of people are not able to do without a business loan. And I wouldn't have qualified for a business loan at that time. So having some place like United Way is super important because we need that ability to help people know that it's possible and there are people and institutions there to be able to support you in that way.
This is Hourglass, the podcast for United Way of King County in Seattle. Coming up, a conversation with Kristi Brown, the renowned chef and owner of That Brown Girl Cooks Catering and Communion Restaurant and Bar in Seattle. United Way is proud to say that we have supported Kristi on her way to becoming one of our nation's most highly acclaimed chefs and restaurateurs. For this episode, we'll chat with Kristi about her passion and drive for her craft, her connections to United Way, and her new dining venture in Seattle. We will also discuss our ongoing free tax preparation campaign and a local volunteer opportunity. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for tuning in. If you've ever attended a United Way of King County event catered by Seattle chef Kristi Brown, you would know why folks rave over dishes such as her Creole chicken skewers, black-eyed peas hummus, and many sweet potato pies. If you've ever eaten at her Communion Restaurant and Bar in Seattle's 23rd and Union Corridor, you'd know why Condé Nast Traveler named the venue among the 12 best new restaurants in the world, and why the New York Times rated Communion in its restaurant list entitled The 50 Places in America We're Most Excited About Right Now. And if you've ever sat down with Kristi to talk about food, her inspirations, and her drive to keep pushing her craft to new heights, you'd know why the homepage on her website features a quote from her late father, Alvin Brown. Love is a doing thing. Kristi has been doing what she loves for nearly 30 years, experiencing almost every facet of the cuisine industry, including prep cook and dishwasher. After completing Seattle Central College's culinary program, Kristi launched That Brown Girl Catering in 1996 while honing her craft through experiences at Plenty Cafe and Nordstrom. In 2012, she reimagined the catering company as That Brown Girl Cooks, a food, culture, and community organization. We at United Way of King County are proud to say that we have supported Kristi's efforts. Kristi launched her business venture with the help from United Way's Individual Development Account Program. The former program set up savings accounts with matching funds to help people realize dreams of buying homes or starting ventures. Since then, United Way has enlisted Kristi to cater many of our events. The most recent event Kristi catered was our January celebration of former United Way President and CEO Gordon McHenry Jr. That Brown Girl Cooks delighted our taste buds with dishes such as grilled okra, Kansas City-style barbecue brisket, and curried garbanzo beans. At our participatory grant-making town hall in 2023, Kristi served root vegetable fritters and Cajun-marinated chicken skewers. And at our Eat, Drink, and Be Generous event in 2022, she served Creole chicken skewers and mini shrimp toast. We've enjoyed every morsel while being part of Kristi's journey, one where she's helped redefine the Seattle restaurant scene while popularizing the term Seattle Soul to describe her succulent cuisine, which is rooted in traditional American soul food and influences from the Pacific Northwest. United Way has been instrumental in helping people and organizations start or scale their ventures, from our support of Kristi Brown to providing Asian Counseling and Referral Service's first grant, to supporting grantee Red Eagle Soaring's funding efforts to secure a home at the Station Space Art Hub at King Street Station. It underscores our commitment to providing resources to those who know and serve our communities best. Hourglass recently sat down with Kristi for a discussion about her culinary business journey, her connections to United Way, and all things food. That includes a look at Communia's new menu and a new dining venture, a quick service restaurant called Little Brown Girl, which is located inside the Medier Brewing Company Cherry Street Tap Room in Seattle. Here's what Kristi had to say.
We really kind of dug our heels in this last year, working on the back end of business. A lot of times, with us, we started Communion with a bang. And it was wonderful. It was horrible. It was all of the things in between. And we did a lot of work just keeping things going. And then I think toward the end of our fourth year, we were like, hey, let's start putting some time into how we want to see it grow into the future. Making sure we have kind of all of our ducks lined up in a row, And so really, we've been playing it cool for the last year. Just trying to work on some things and refine things, service, offerings, all of that kind of thing. So, yeah, not that anything really new. Little Brown Girl is new for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Little Brown Girl is our takeout counter that we do food from out of Medier Brewing Company on Cherry. It's a collaboration. Rodney Hines is the owner of Medier Brewing Company and wonderful, wonderful businessman and friend. And timing just aligned and he needed a new tenant and we were amenable. So we are doing some really cute little small offerings inspired by that brown girl, but our chef Lynn Lewis, she's been taking some riffs off of that and creating her own thing. And so, yeah, we're having fun over there, learning more about beer and excited to educate folks about, the combination of our food and drink.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you go on your website and the first thing you see is an image of you and a quote, "Love is a doing thing," which is attributed to Alvin Brown, your father.
Yeah.
Talk about that quote and why you chose it.
Sheesh. I knew this was going to, look, I knew this podcast was going to be touching because I have such an amazing connection with United Way. My dad was an amazing man, Alvin Brown. He was a teacher. He just really believed in the action of things. People talk a lot. They got a lot to say, right? But words don't mean anything if you're not going to put the action behind it. And he would talk about, we'd have these discussions about relationships. He died in 99, and I was 29. And we would talk about relationships a lot because he always tell me, you need to go out of town and find you a husband. And bring him back here. So we would have these discussions. He said, but at the end of the day, you can meet somebody blind, and if you wanted to make it work, it's in the action of the thing that you're doing. Love is not words. It is the action. And so I really take that to heart in a lot of different ways. I think just being able to express myself fully and making sure that people feel it. I want them to see the action behind it. And that goes with our food. That goes with our service. That's really an undercurrent of our mantra.
Now, you talked about your connection with us, United Way of King County. Talk about launching your business through what used to be our individual development accounting program.
Oh, my goodness. I remember finding out that there was a way for me to be able to save for the things that I wanted. And I just, I think being young, being excited about what I was doing, but also being a single parent and not having a lot of resources, the ideal of, okay, I got to work really hard to make enough money to do this, that, and the other. Not, loans were out of the question. It just wasn't even a thought at that time. And so being able to know that, I was able to kind of put away and then it would be matched. It was just amazing. I was able to buy equipment that I never thought of. I just didn't know. Really, for me, a lot of times I don't think about the how. I just think about the work. and I just do the work. Right. A lot of people ask me like, oh, how does it feel to make it? And I'm like, I don't really know if that's what's happening right now. But what I can say is I just put my focus on what it is I know I have to do. It's a part of my purpose.
And, you really started when you were doing this. You catered a lot of our events. And I got to tell you, I mean, I love the events that we do. But when I know I see you got you on there, I mean, it's come on now.
I appreciate that.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
I love that. And you know what? Honestly, like United Way was one of the first really large accounts that I had. And I got that feedback. And it was always so encouraging. Like, that's a big deal. Like, it's one thing for the businesses to patronize you, but to also feed back into what you're doing.
Right.
It's everything. Yeah.
Take me back a little bit further. At what point did you decide to actually make this happen? You talk about the journey and some ups and downs, and people say, have you made it? You say, I don't know yet. But at what point did you decide that, come whatever, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make it?
I don't honestly think I ever thought differently. Like, I've always wanted to cook. I always like to tell a story that when I was little, I would just love to watch my dad cook, and I'd be like, when is it done? When is it ready? So I was eating medium rare steak when I was little, all because I was impatient.
Okay.
So I've always cooked. It's always been a part of who I am. And then as I grew up, I had one of my best friend's mom, her name is Shirley Peoples, and she was a caterer when we were in high school. And so she would let us help. And then her husband, he did all of the smoked meats and everything. So I got to help him. And, I just fell in love with it. I mean, I watched Hotel when I was younger. And Sherry Belafonte was on there. And I loved that show. Seeing a Black woman on TV was great, in a serious role, not a comedy.
Right.
And so it was just like all of these different things that kind of contribute to my vision. And I've always loved food. I've always loved bringing people together. And so it just was a natural match. I went to culinary school. Originally, I went to Howard to go to their hotel restaurant management program. I got pregnant with Damon, and I came home eventually and went to Seattle Central in the culinary program. So in full circle moment right now, my daughter, we actually are going to register for her culinary classes tonight. She starts the program this spring. And so I'm excited. Like, it really is like, when I think about mission and purpose for my life, I'm in alignment and I'm doing what I love.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what was the first thing, the first dish, first item that you said, this is going on? When I do a catering, what I do for restaurants, people are going to taste this?
I don't really know.
Really?
That's a good question. What first thing? Well, when I was 5 and I wrote my first menu, I made steak and potatoes and broccoli, a little salad. I had a little menu. I was like, I found it for a little while. Now I can't find it anymore. But yeah. So that was my first menu. But I don't really know. Like, I think about one of the things that's funny. We were talking about menus today because I am really ready to change the menu at communion. And
oh, really?
Yeah. I get bored really easily. So pretty much by the time it gets on the plate, I'm over it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I let it run its course because it has to. People give people opportunity. But yeah, I love there's some chefs out here and they change their menu all the time. And I love that. Okay. I don't have the structural ability to orchestrate something like that.
Right.
But I would change the menu all the time if I could.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're talking about it now, or are you going to do it soon?
Oh, yeah. We'll change the menu. We changed the menu at communion. This menu iteration will be 10. So we've changed it about 2 times a year, maybe 3 times some years, and then some other menus last a little bit longer. But yeah, we changed the menu seasonally, not because of the season, but because of my inspiration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now, is there anything that through all those changes has been a mainstay?
We do have mainstays. Right now, it's we keep mac and cheese on the menu.
People are thanking you.
They are. I'm sick of it,
Really?
but it's gonna stay. Greens will always. I love greens. I love them so much. So they'll stay on the menu. Wings have been on the menu from the beginning.
Okay.
I'm not going to say any more about that. I don't want to cause any upheaval.
Talk about the restaurant scene in general in Seattle, and then the soul food restaurant scene in particular.
That's interesting. I think that the restaurant scene is developing. It's changing. I think that for a long time, it was ran largely by white men. So that was the scene. And it was limited in scope because of that. I think that in large part, communities of color have been excluded from the higher levels of the culinary scene. We're upscale casual at Communion, fine dining. I think a lot of folks were ignored intentionally. I think that there were a lot of people that did work to change that. Particularly, I'll say Tamara Murphy, one of my chef mentors, and Chef Wayne Johnson, just to name a couple of people that really, pushed the limits to make sure that women and people of color and just a different perspective was offered. And I think that it's changed tremendously over the last 10, 15 years. I was always laughing when I told Chef Wayne, hey, I want to, try something different. He said, okay, come to this event and you can volunteer. And I was like, great, I'll do it. And so I volunteered and people were like, oh, welcome to the industry. And I was like, I've been cooking for, how many every years at that point. And it was just, in catering, you don't get the same kind of respect you do as for a restaurant. So it's interesting. I'm learning. There's things that I love. There's things that I don't love so much. And I'm grateful to be in the position I am to show folks that there is something else to be offered. I don't think of myself as a soul food chef necessarily. I think that I want to honor my beginnings. My beginnings were in soul food, but also like my parents were very interested in exploring. So we ate a lot of different foods growing up. And then when we moved to Seattle, it was like, I feel like I found my lost tribe. Like I feel like I found something that I had ancestrally remembered when I started interacting with more of the Asian cuisines and understanding that here lately, like understanding so much more about East African cooking. So I feel that's why we call it Seattle Soul, Neo Soul. We're thinking about changing it too, just because it's like when you coin something soul food, people have an expectation. And one of the things that is really interesting about Communion is that we have, that brown girl didn't have this kind of interaction with folks because we don't have walk-in ability. So now we have this ability to walk in and people have an expectation. They're hungry for something.
Right.
They're not necessarily hungry for food. They're hungry for a sense of belonging.
Right.
They're hungry for memories of their past. And that's a lot of weight. Food carries a lot of weight, just period. Because when people are hungry, there's just all kind of responses to that. They have anticipation. They're excited. They're impatient. And they're mean. It's a lot of everything in between. And so I just think that idea of like, what is soul food? What is Black food? What can a Black chef express herself outside of these realms and still be accepted? There's just a lot of conversation for that. And I love what I do. I love providing people a sense of remembering. But I also want to challenge them to do something different.
Well, that's interesting because I remember when I lived in D.C., at Union Station, there was B. Smith's for years.
Yeah.
I was in New York recently, and what was the brothers near Lincoln Center? I think it's Tatiana. Right.
Chef Kwame.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think it's gotten to that way here?
What do you mean?
In terms of you talking about the restaurants being a place where people can not only get food, but experience and get the comfort and get the...
I mean, I think by nature, that's what people get. I think that because of the strides of so many Black and brown chefs, we're able to explore different ways of being inside the food industry that we didn't have before. Out loud, right? Because we've always been in the kitchen and we've always ran the kitchens. And so now it's like, oh, now we're getting the recognition that we deserve.
Right.
We owned, and that's different. But I think the industry as a whole is just changing. It's so much going on. So much going on, from access to food to, immigration and how our industry is highly targeted. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And I think that, chefs are now being called upon to not only be a voice in your own particular community, but like nationally, because we have to say something about these injustices. It's ridiculous. So it's an interesting time to be a chef. Yeah.
So Kristi, can you talk about getting the resources and support from an organization like United Way?
There's not a lot of times where you get to be on the front and the back end, on the receiving and the giving of a program and an organization. And I've been on like multiple ends, being able to be a spokesperson, being able to be a recipient, being able to cater. Like, those are very unique situations to be in for such a large organization that does so much for our community. And I'm so grateful for it. Like, I live in a space that's if I have a religion, my religion is gratitude. I really am grateful for what I've experienced, and just on so many different levels, being able to do the retirement party just recently, and then thinking about there's a LEAD program that you guys used to help sponsor. I think you still Project LEAD.
We give it to Leadership Tomorrow now, but we're still involved.
Yeah. And I used to do lunches for those guys. And so thinking about that, it's important to me who I feed. I want to be able to feed a lot of different people, but thinking about that, feeding leaders. How good is that? You know what I mean? And then being able to say, I was able to walk into having a business and having the equipment that I needed off top, which a lot of people are not able to do without a business loan. And I wouldn't have qualified for a business loan at that time. And funny part now is I still might not be able to, even with all that we generate, because that banking system is so divisive at times. So having some place like United Way is super important, because we need that ability to help people know that it's possible and there are people and institutions there to be able to support you in that way.
But isn't it something, though, with all that you've accomplished, and you looking at Condé Nast today, you're in there, James Beard's semifinalist. I mean, just everything that someone wrote, it's a great restaurant if you can get in. What does it say that someone would say? I still don't know with everything that the banks would be, and which is a real reality of this country.
It is a real reality of this country, and I don't really know. I don't know. It angers me, but it just angers me to action to keep focused, because it's I think about that. It's okay, you have a business that generates millions a year, and yet there's still more to prove that we can afford it. But then it's it is all kind of where I just try to keep my eye on the process, out of the process so much, but understanding that there's a lot more going on than I know, and having faith in believing that something better can happen. So that keeps me involved with organizations like United Way, because I know, like, one of the things I talk about a lot is it's like, okay, you can give people access to capital, but once they get it, they need education around how to handle it, and those programs, being able to, it was a combination, because I also was involved with Washington Cash. And so they were able to kind of address some of those needs as well. Help me understand, like, once I get to this point, how do I handle it? So I just think, it's frustrating that these systems don't want us to succeed.
So my last question for you, for someone who's listening to this and has that dream in their head, what do you tell them?
Oh, ask questions, be curious. Don't let anybody stop you from doing what you want to do. Keep your eye on that prize and knock on as many doors as you can. Never stop knocking on doors. Like, I have a group of women that that are all restaurateurs, and I asked a question last night. Like, I'm not going to pretend I know everything. So I feel like you never stop learning. You never stop learning. Like, if you don't learn something every day, it's because you didn't want to.
Kristi Brown, that Brown Girl Cooks Communion R&B. Thank you so much for your time today in our class.
You're welcome.
To learn more about Kristi Brown and her culinary ventures, log on to chefkristibrown.com. That's ChefKristiBrown.com. United Way of King County's free tax preparation campaign is back. If you make less than $80,000 a year as a single filer, or less than $96,000 a year for non-single filers, you can have your taxes prepared for free at one of our 20 locations across King County. Those sites are now open through April 19th, and we have a virtual site that runs from February 2nd through April 19th. Funded by United Way, the IRS, and the City of Seattle, the free tax campaign offers tax preparation by specialists who will help clients understand their unique tax situations and take advantage of credits like the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Working Families Tax Credit. Last year, United Way's free tax campaign reached 18,200 of our neighbors, supporting them with $17 million in tax credits and refunds. For more information, log on to freetaxexperts.org. World Relief Western Washington of Kent is looking for volunteers to work in its Paradise Parking Plots community garden. Paradise Parking Plots is a 2-acre garden that provides spaces for refugee, immigrant, and Kent residents to grow cultural foods and reconnect with the soil. World Relief will train volunteers to do tasks such as weeding its food forest, controlling pets and diseases, and taking part in construction projects. For more information, log on to worldrelief.org/western-WA and click on the Get Involved page. At United Way of King County, we are working side by side with communities to build an equitable future for everyone. Hourglass United Way is a podcast that highlights how we and our partners spend time making a difference in our communities. Our work is made possible by the generous donations from people like you. Please send comments and suggestions about our podcast to hourglassunitedway@gmail.com. To learn more about our work or to support United Way, log on to uwkc.org. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for listening. Until next time.